Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Rosemary, and in today's video I have 11 dupes of mirrors from high-end retailers like Pottery Barn, Anthropologie, Horchow, West Elm, and Crate and Barrel. So let's jump right in with the all-time viewer favorite, the Jules Round mirror from Pottery Barn. For this project, I'm going to start with some wood clothespins from the Dollar Tree. Now, I did have to break into a second pack, so you will need 2 packs for this project. And I'm going to be staining them with some Minwax stain in the color Special Walnut. And I'm going to stain all of the clothespins, everything included in this pack of 36. Plus, I think there was an additional maybe 10 more. And then I'm going to make sure I'm getting into all the little nooks and crannies, especially where there clips on the bottom, where I'm painting right now. That's the spot that is going to be visible. The other parts really aren't going to be visible, but I am staining them just because if you're looking at the mirror from the side, you'll see the raw, naked clothespin in behind. So I want to make sure that I'm staining the entire clothespin. Next, I'm going to take one of these Dollar Tree mirrors. Now, the ones that they have in store now are larger than the ones that they've had in the past, and they are held on by these kind of plastic clips. And kind of have to break the clip in order to get the mirror out, but that's okay because we're not putting it back in. But this one is a little larger than the ones that they have had in the past. And what I want to do here is just clip the clothespins onto the edge of the mirror. Now, I do want to use a little E6000 glue to try to keep them in place a little bit, glue them on. And so I'm just adding a little E6000 there to the tip before clipping them onto the edge of the mirror. And then I just continued placing the clothespins around the mirror. And this is where one pack got me to. And then I had to go and stain some more and add the rest. It's probably about 12 more that I had to add there. And then once all of the clothespins were in place, I just made sure that all of the pieces were kind of in line and in place. Next, I took a 3-foot piece of balsa wood. You can get these at the craft stores. And with the coupons, it comes in about $2, $2.50. And so this is the 1/8 inch size. And so all I'm going to do with this is first I want to kind of distress it. So I'm going to use this melon baller to kind of just make dings or like kind of indentations and then also some scrapes. But you can use this or any tool. I can also just use a scissors. So if I take my scissors and I just take the handle and just kind of use that to dent, and then also to use the blade to scrape along just any way that you can to create a little distressing into the wood. Next, I took a ruler and measured 3-inch lengths, and then I just drew lines across and cut there. Now, the neat thing about balsa wood, if you have never used it before, is that it cuts like with a scissors. It's fantastic. So I just cut these little 3-inch squares of the balsa wood that I had distressed. And then next, I wanted to cut the wood into kind of flower petal type shapes. And so I needed them to be different sizes. And so I needed one set of the petals to be 5 centimeters on the top, 3 centimeters on the bottom, 4 and 2, and then 2 and 1. And so in order to do those, I took one of my squares and then I took the ruler and just measured across 5 centimeters and then just cut it there, creating 2 pieces now. And that other piece I will keep, the smaller piece I will keep for my 2 centimeter, 1 centimeter petals, but for this one where I'm trying to create the 5 centimeter, 3 centimeter petal, I'm going to go ahead and take my ruler and just place it there kind of in the center of the piece on the bottom so that I can get my 3 centimeter length kind of centered there. And so I'll mark off the one end and then the other with the pencil. So that's that 3 centimeter length there in the middle. And then again, I'm going to just use some scissors to cut from that point to the upper corner on each side. And then just round it off on the top by snipping those corners on the end. And then this will create a template that I can use to trace and then just cut the other squares in that shape. And then on that other side that has a remainder I can use for the smaller pieces. And then once all my pieces are cut, I'm going to dry fit them onto my mirror frame first before I glue them on. And so the pieces that are the largest pieces, those are the 3 centimeter pieces, and the clothespins are 1 centimeter wide. So you can typically get one of the larger pieces to go across 3 of the clothespins. The middle ones go across 2 of the clothespins, and then the small ones are a single clothespin. And you can kind of just shape them around using the different sizes. That creates that nice rustic look when you have these different sizes. But as you go, you're going to need to kind of trim here and there to get the pieces to fit together well. And then you can also cut pieces to fit in where there are gaps, or even just when there's little splinters that kind of come from your cut pieces, you can kind of just glue those in to piece everything together. And then once you have everything dry fit, you can go back with some wood glue and just glue all your pieces to the clothespin. And don't worry about putting in those little pieces, because, don't worry about lining it up so perfectly that there might be gaps or gashes, because remember, the more distressed, the more it's going to look like the original, and the more that the stain that we're going to put on top now is going to soak into those little crevices and really give you a lot of great dimension and detail. And then once all your pieces are attached, it's ready for the top stain. And so I'm going to just go back with that Minwax stain again in color Special Walnut, and just paint all of the wood on top. I'm going to make sure I get all around the edges and in between in all the little crevices, and then also down in where the wood and the clothespins touch the mirror. I want to make sure that I get in along that front there so that the stain is covering all of the pieces of the wood. And then here's what it looks like after the stain has been applied, and you can see how all those little gashes and nicks and gaps have created a lot of variation in the color, and it just gives a lot of great character and dimension to the piece. And then once the stain was dry, I went back with my very most favorite polyurethane, this Rust-Oleum Triple Thick, in a clear satin. The original piece does have a rather thick coat, almost like a resin coating to the top of the wood. So this thick stain is really ideal for this project. And I will be doing this one coat, and then I will add a second coat on top of that. I also wanted to mention at this time that this is a smaller mirror than the original, much smaller mirror. And if you did want to get a larger mirror from Michael's or Hobby Lobby, you can get those for like $6 or $7, and that will get you much closer to the size of this project, of the original. But you could just use the exact same technique, just on a larger frame, a larger mirror, and then this way you're going to get a result that's going to be much more similar in size to the original mirror than this one here from the Dollar Tree mirror. And here you can see the finished project next to the original. And although it is a much smaller mirror, it still does give you that same vibe. And you can see how using the same technique with a larger mirror will get you pretty close to the original. Plus, a larger mirror would also give you a better wood to mirror ratio. This one's a little bit askew, but you can pick up a 14-inch mirror from Michael's for about $6, which will result in a fairly large 21-inch finished project, and for a lot less for the price. For the next project, I have another Pottery Barn mirror, this Malibu hand-woven seagrass mirror inspiration. To make this piece, I'll be using a Dollar Tree round mirror, a bundle of poly rope, some Mod Podge and craft paint in the colors Burnt Umber and Territorial Beige. First, I disassembled the mirror, and I'll be using this Dollar Tree mirror for illustration, but you can do this same technique with any shape mirror, large or small, that you may already have on hand, pick up secondhand, or buy at other retailers. Once I had the frame separated, I attached the rope to the back with some hot glue, and then proceeded to wrap the rope around the frame. Every 3 or 4 wraps, I pushed the rope tightly together and then added a little hot glue, and then just kept going. Once the frame was covered in the rope, I made a mix of 2 parts Mod Podge to 1 part of the Territorial Beige paint. Then applied this mix to the rope, making sure to get into all those cracks and crevices. By adding the Mod Podge to the paint, it makes the paint more sheer, almost like a glaze. So this combo will make the rope look more like woven seagrass by adding in some brown tones while still allowing some of those golden hues to show through. It will also change the finish on the rope so that it no longer has a plastic look. And you can see the difference here on the back side. To add some dimension, I again added Mod Podge to some of the burnt umber colored paint and applied that sparingly on the rope, just making some dashes with the tip of my paintbrush. Then I blended that with one of my dry sponge brushes. Once dry, I reattached the mirror using E6000 glue. And this is how the project turned out. Seagrass is such a beautiful and understated way to imbue that coastal vibe, and this poly rope and paint hack is a great way to achieve a faux seagrass look. For the next project, I'm going to be switching over to another popular retailer, H&M, and their mirror with rattan frame. For this project, I'm going to be using some of the Dollar Tree glow sticks. I'm going to be using both bracelets and necklaces, so I need 1 pack of each. I'll use 3 from each of the packets. And then I went ahead and just bent them around as if I was using them for glow sticks. And of course, they will light up. You can't really see it here. But of course, as you know, that glow goes away probably in an hour or 2. And then what I want to do is take those 3 bracelets and use the connectors to connect the 3 together in a circle. Next, I took 2 of the necklaces, bent those around, and formed those into a larger circle. And then with that 3rd necklace, I just connected it to itself to create 1 smaller circle. Then I took some masking tape and just reinforced around the connectors. And then to give my glow stick hoops a bit of a rattan finish, I went ahead with a hula skirt from the Dollar Tree and cut off the strands. And then I'm going to just wrap the hoops with the hula skirt. I want to keep saying hula hoop, but I want to wrap the glow stick hoops with the hula skirt strands. There we go. And then I'm just using some of my Titebond glue to adhere it. You can use any glue here. I'm just using that one because I will need it in other parts of this project. So I just figured I'd use that one. And then this is what they look like after I did wrap these 3 times. That is a little bit labor intensive, but I wanted to give it a nice finish. And then I just took some of this Territorial Beige craft paint and added a little water to it to create a stain for the hoops. And I'm going to be staining the largest hoop and the second to largest hoop. I'm not going to be staining that small hoop. I did put that one aside. And then once the stain was dry, I took the larger hoop and set that aside. And then with the smaller hoop, what I want to do is attach some more of the hula strands to this smaller hoop. And so what I did was I cut 6-inch strands of the hula skirt, and then I'm just folding it in half. And then what I did was add some dabs of glue there to the hoop. And I'm kind of just spacing the dabs of glue approximately 1 width of the hula skirt strand. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. You can measure it if you want a more exact finish. And then once all the strands were attached, I took the smallest hoop, the one that I didn't stain, the one that was the 1 necklace joined together, and I placed that inside of the hoop with the strands glued to it. And so it fits really nicely right inside. And then when you flip it over, you can see that the strands actually come out now between the 2 hoops. And that's the way you want it for the next step. For the mirror, I'm going to be using this mirror from the Dollar Tree. Now, I did want to point out that this is the newer mirror that they now carry in the stores, and it is a little bit larger than the ones that they've had in the past. So just want to point that out. And then to glue the hoops to the mirror, I am going to be placing that part where I glued the strands to the hoops down, so that that's the part that touches the mirror. And then I'm using Titebond glue here, but you could also use E6000. What I like about the Titebond is that it does have a pretty good setup within 15 seconds. And so what I'm doing here is just kind of maneuvering it and positioning it to make sure that while it is in that setup phase, that it is kind of keeping the shape properly. And then once that piece was set, I took the larger hoop and placed it so that it was about 3 inches away from the centerpiece all the way around. Next, I took the strands, and where each strand was, I added again a dab of glue there to the top on the outer hoop. And you can see where I already did have some dabs of glue and had applied these sticks. These are the craft sticks that you get from the Dollar Tree. And I did get 2 packs of these. And then what I did was I did it backwards. And so I had to pull all of the little sticks off. And so that's why you see those little kind of marks there where I had to pull the glue off. You also see on the sticks themselves, they have some of the paint where it got pulled off of the hoop. So anyway, I'm just gluing the 2 pieces together with the sticks. And I kind of did it where I tried to do it on the hoop and then I did it on the stick. And either way, it's kind of, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, whichever way you want to do it. But just glue the 2 pieces together with the sticks. And then I just wanted to point out that as I was doing this, I was measuring to make sure that there was that 3-inch difference between the hoops. And then at that point, I did leave the whole piece in place overnight to make sure that I could get a nice strong bond so I could pick it up and do this with it, since I would have to handle it quite a bit in the next steps. And so next what I did was I took the strands that were at the bottom of each one of the sticks and wrapped it around and glued it there on the back to create that kind of crisscross rattan weave. And so what I'm doing with the hula skirt is wrapping it around, twisting it around so that it kind of creates a smaller or thinner strand. And then I'm going to just add a little bit of my glue and then again just crisscross the 2 pieces. I do kind of want to wrap it around the bottom of the pole so that the pole is sticking out a little bit, and then that can just get wrapped around to the back and glued to the back of the mirror. Also, I did remove the hanger from the original mirror. It just is on with a little screw, so I just unscrewed that screw, and then I'm going to attach it to the back of this mirror with some E6000 glue. And then to create that rattan weave again around the top hoop, I just took another strand of the hula skirt, twisted it around to create that thinner strand, and then crisscrossed it across the 2 pieces, the stick and the hoop, and just glued it there to the back. And then here you can see once the rattan weave has been applied to the outer loop, I also wanted to point out that the original does have a rattan hanger that can be made by joining 2 of the bracelets together and then wrapping it. I didn't want to use that one. I think it looks better without it, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the Dollar Tree hanger. And now here you can see the finished project next to the original. And as you can see, the dollar dupe is actually larger than the original. That's not typical. Usually we come in smaller, but this does come out larger by about a good 4 inches. So that's pretty good, and at quite a savings for just about $7. For the next project, we're switching over to West Elm and their Peruvian sun mirror. To recreate this mirror, I use one of these small round mirrors from the Dollar Tree, and then 2 packs of these erasers from the Dollar Tree that are found in the teacher section, and then 1 pack of these 1-inch craft mirrors that I got from Hobby Lobby. First, I'm going to remove the mirror from the frame, and you can see that there's little plastic tabs that hold the back on, and it's just simple. You just pop the mirror portion right out of the frame. Then I took a ruler and I wanted to mark the top and bottom of the frame. So I just used a paint marker and just marked top and bottom, and then turned the ruler the other way to mark the 2 sides. Now this is just going to create a reference point where I can place my 4 erasers. These 4 erasers are just going to be like my guidance ones. So I'll just have those 4 ones placed first, and then I'll be able to space evenly the erasers that go in between. So it's the 4 top, bottom, and 2 sides, and then 3 in between those. That way it just makes it easier to eyeball how you need to space them. Once that's done, and I think I have them pretty evenly lined up, I will go back with my paint marker again and just mark the spaces so when I glue them, I know where to go. Then using my glue gun, I'll just put a dab of hot glue on the side where that dot is, and then hold the little eraser in place until that glue has dried, and then I'll go on to the next little dot. And notice I am putting the side without the art print on the front because that art print will come through the paint. Once I had attached all my erasers with the hot glue, I did go back in the backs of them with some E6000 to give an extra secure hold to the little erasers. So I'm just kind of going underneath and in behind to make sure I'm also getting some nice adherence with the E6000. Once the glue was dry, I took some of this Krylon Brilliant Gold spray paint and spray painted the front and back. Then it was time to attach the mirrors, and so I just took a little dab of the E6000, put it in the center of each of my little painted erasers, and then just attached the little mirrors. And this is what it looks like with all the mirrors attached, and then it was just a matter of placing back the mirror into the frame. And to do that, I just reversed what I did to get it out. I just placed it back into the frame and then popped it back through those little plastic tabs all the way around. And here are the two versions side by side. On the left is the West Elm one, and the right hand side has the Recreation. They are different sizes. The West Elm one is either an 8-inch or a 14-inch at $49 and $89, and the FabTax one was a 10-inch version. Next up is this golden butterfly mirror, and multiple retailers have sold versions of this mirror, including Pottery Barn, Pier 1, and Horchow. To make this one, I used the wreath form from the Dollar Tree, as well as these butterfly stickers. I did use 8 packs of those. And then also this 10-inch mirror from Michael's that I got for $2.39. When attaching the butterflies to the wreath form, I'm going to just use those back wire rings. That first wire ring I'm going to leave free because that's where I'm going to apply the mirror. So I'm going to just start there on that second ring and just apply the butterflies, kind of just flying around in different directions, up, down, sideways, and go all around those 3 back rings. To attach them, I am using my Nemesis hot glue because of course we want them to stick on better than the sticker adhesive will allow. Since I knew I was going to end up painting this all gold, I just grabbed a bunch of different stickers, but after applying these, I thought how pretty it would look just to keep them as is without painting them gold, and to have just gotten either a bunch of different colors and made the butterflies all different colors, or just done one uniform color. But yeah, don't you think they would look so pretty? Just maybe paint the frame, the wire wreath, just with maybe that silver backing of the butterflies, and then just go ahead and make this all different colors or make it all one color. But we're going to just do it the high-end version and paint it all gold. So here's what it looks like after it was painted gold. And now I'm going to go ahead and on that bottom rung, I'm going to add some E6000 glue and then just place my Michael's mirror right in, just kind of move the butterflies out of the way. It'll be pretty as they kind of float over the top of the mirror as well. And then just get that mirror down on that bottom ring. And then once it's down, I'm actually going to want to flip it over as well. And because you'll see that the mirror does have some gaps, it's only sticking on certain points. So I want to go back and backfill all those little gaps with nice hearty amounts there of the E6000. And then I'm going to flip it back over again and just weight it down. I just have some candles there that I'm weighting it down with so that I'm making sure that the wire and the mirror are touching while it dries. And here are the two versions side by side. Now they look kind of similar, but of course there is a huge difference in the price and obviously the quality, but the size is also considerably different on this version, with the store-bought ones coming in at around 30 to 36 inches in diameter, and the Dollar Tree version is only about 17 inches. Still a pretty sizable mirror, but much smaller than the others. Multiple retailers, including Pottery Barn, World Market, and Urban Outfitters, all also carry versions of this next project. To make this one, I use one of the little round Dollar Tree mirrors again, and then 2 of the Dollar Tree shower caddies. Using a pair of wire cutters, I cut the handle of the shower caddy just above that first crossbar on the shower caddy. The wire cuts pretty easily, but if I'm having trouble, I usually do find that it helps if I use 2 hands. And then on the same shower caddy, I'm also going to remove the two shelves that have the wires coming across. So it's basically those two bottom shelves. And I'm going to cut them off right where they attach to the main frame. And then I'll just repeat the process for the other shower caddy. When all my cuts are done, I should have 2 handles and then 4 of the shelves. Next, I'm going to go ahead and remove that mirror from the frame. Doing the same way, just popping it out of those little plastic tabs that are in the back of the mirror. Next, I'm going to use my wire cutters again to remove that top wire from the shelf. So as you see, I'm just kind of going through at the top and just removing it. What I'm basically making there are the eyelashes to the eyes. So make the shelves look like eyelashes is basically what you want to think of doing while you're doing this. So if it's getting a little confusing as to wait, which way am I cutting it? Think of it, well, how would it look like if I was making eyelashes? Next, I want to just take a pair of pliers and straighten out that little curve that is in the handle of the shower caddy. So I just want to kind of straighten that out, so that when I attach my eyelashes, the two pieces are nice and even. Then I'm going to actually take that first eyelash and I'm going to pull it all the way up to the end of my wire because I just want to cut that piece off, that excess, so that the first eyelash is flush with the bottom wire that is the handle. And then I want to zip tie everything zip tie the two together. And I'm going to do this again so it'll make a little more sense the next time. But just suffice to say at this stage, I just zip tied those two pieces together. And then I'm going to go back and remove the tails with my wire cutter. And then I'm going to just take the bottom piece now, and I'm again going to straighten that out because it has that little curve in it. And then I'm going to take another one of my eyelashes. And this time I'm going to shorten them a little because this is going to be a bottom lash. So it's going to go ahead and just shorten those up. And then when I do attach them to the bottom part of the handle, of what was the previous handle, I am again going to line that first eyelash up with the edge of the wire and then remove that excess. Then I'm going to take my zip ties, and these are the little black ones that come from the Dollar Tree. They come red, white, and black in a package, and this is the tiniest ones they have is the little black ones. And so I just put the zip tie in and then just spin that around so that, just the front smooth part is going to be at the front. And then I'll just do that with all of them and attach them all the way across, and then just remove the tails with my wire cutter. And then I have my top and bottom eyelashes for the left hand of my eye. Now on the right hand side of the eye, I'm going to actually do the same thing, just straighten up that one edge and then go back. But this time I see how I want to have a proper spacing between my eyelashes. So I'm not going to do flush like I did on the other side. I'm going to just leave it a little bit of an edge there so that it'll give me enough space so that my eyelashes aren't right on top of each other left and right. So this way it just gives me a little bit of an edge and then my eyelash looks right. So then I'm going to go and again zip tie the two pieces together. I'm going to remove a little bit of the bottom lash again. So I'm taking off about 1/3 of the length. And then again, straightening out that little curve on the bottom. And then I just attached my bottom lash, again, giving it enough, kind of measuring it up and saying, okay, where's the right spacing for my eyelashes to be far enough apart that it looks seamless. And then I just remove that little piece. And then I can go and attach my eyelashes to the bottom part of the handle. Now, once that's all done, you can see where the two pieces can come together to form what looks like an eye. To attach the metal pieces to the frame, I'm now going to go and bend them back again. So I just bent the piece straight, but now I'm going to go ahead and now that it's attached to my eyelashes, I want to just kind of bend just that tip around and just see, how it's going to sit on the frame, and then do the same on the bottom. Just give it a little bend. This time I'm kind of straightening it out a little bit because I guess, it has to kind of just work with it to see how it's going to fit around your frame. And then once I got a good fit on the left-hand side, I did the same thing to the right-hand side. I just took my pliers, kind of bent it around, both top and bottom, just trying to get that good eye shape curve around the frame. Then I just took a ruler and I just again wanted to mark the top and bottom so that I can line my wires up properly in the middle of the frame. And here I'm just pointing out that the eyelashes are actually behind the handle. So you can see there that that wire that makes up the eyelashes is behind the wire that was the previous handle on the shower caddy. Next I'm going to use some hot glue, or actually a lot of hot glue, and then just put the two pieces together and hold in place until that glue sets. Then I'm just going to repeat the process to attach the bottom lashes. Again, a good amount of some hot glue, and then just place those that bottom wire in place and hold until the glue is set. And then just repeat for the other side. Once the glue was set, I sprayed the entire piece with some gold spray paint. And here's what it looks like after it was painted. And then the only thing left to do is just replace the mirror by putting it back into the frame. And you do that again just by tapping it right back underneath of those little tabs in the back. And here are the two pieces together, and these two actually are very comparable in size. The World Market version is about 18 inches across, and the Dollar Tree version is about 17 inches across. For the next project, we're heading over to Crate and Barrel and a dollar dupe version of the Remy mirror. For this project, I started with this 14-inch beveled edge mirror I purchased from Michael's for $4.79. To mimic the wood portion of the Crate and Barrel mirror, I was choosing between this contact paper from the Dollar Tree and then two of these pieces of scrapbook paper that I got from Michael's. The Crate and Barrel one is the lighter color, so I decided to go ahead and use the Dollar Tree version. And plus I wouldn't have to mess with any Mod Podge or anything like that because, of course, this has a self-adhesive. And then I just cut out that little half moon shape and pressed it right down, and then just grabbed one of these little chip clips, painted it black, and that made the little doohickey, as my aunt would say, in the middle. Next I'm going to attach the hanger, which I got in a pack of hangers from Michael's, and I'm going to attach it with some E6000 glue. I'm going to use the heaviest hanger that they had, the biggest one, and then I'm going to put a huge amount of the E6000 again, and I'm going to let it set up for at least 48 hours. And here's the finished project, but sad story, this is actually the only picture I have because I broke it. I went to go clean those little smudges down there at the bottom, and in my rush, I knocked it right off the counter. It smashed on the ceramic floor into a million pieces. So RIP, little Crate and Barrel dupe. You were cute while you lasted. And here are the two versions side by side. Again, there is a considerable size difference in the two versions. One is 30 inches, the other is 14. Of course, a nice big difference in the price as well. And at 14 inches, the duplicate is still pretty sizable. For the next project, we're heading over to the World Market for their floating Hayden mirror. To make this project, I used one of these wreath rings sets that I got from Walmart for $2.88 for a set of 3. And I'm going to just use the medium and large size ring from this set. And then I also picked up a 10-inch mirror that I also purchased from Michael's for $2.39. This one came together pretty easy. All I did was put some E6000 on the mid-sized ring and then placed it right on the 10-inch mirror. I pushed it up a little bit, and then underneath of that ring I added some more E6000. And then I just placed the larger ring on top of that. And then I went back with a little more of the E6000 to make sure I had enough and that I was going to get a really strong bond. And then I just placed a book on top to make sure that the wires were down tight up against the glass and that they would adhere to each other for a strong bond. After the glue was dry, I then went and added the hanger in the back again using some E6000 to attach, and this I would let sit up at least 48, maybe even 72 hours to make sure that that thing holds. And here are the two versions side by side. Now they do look pretty similar, but the remake is about 1/3 smaller, So it still has a good size at about 14 inches, but it is smaller than the original. For the next mirror dupe, we're heading over to Anthropologie for the round dogwood mirror. The original costs a whopping $1,298, but I think we can make a pretty close dupe for much less. Now, the original is a large, over 3 foot across mirror, and I, of course, will be making a much smaller version. However, you can easily use this technique on a larger mirror you may already have, or can pick up secondhand, or from a retailer like Walmart or Amazon. For the dollar dupe version, I'll also use a couple of stems of white flowers from Dollar Tree, which I'll paint with white spray paint to increase the rigidness of the flowers as well as give them a uniform color. I did choose 2 different bunches, one with small white flowers and one with both medium size and larger flowers. I also removed the frame from the mirror to give it a coat of white paint as well. And then here's what the flowers look like after a couple of coats of white spray paint, and once dry, I removed the flowers from the stems. To apply the flowers to the mirror frame, I used both triple thick and hot glue. I first applied 2 of the small flowers to the frame, left a space for one of the larger flowers, then again applied 2 of the smaller flowers. After I had several sets of the small flowers attached, I began adding the medium and large flowers. These larger flowers definitely needed a little hot glue to help keep them in place, but I also used the Tite Bond to ensure a permanent hold. And then you can see here the pattern is pretty much alternating the large and medium blooms between the sets of small flowers. And then once I had the mirror frame covered in the flowers, I went back and made sure there weren't any gaps and filled in where necessary. Then I took the whole piece outside to give it a final coat of spray paint. And once dry, I reattached the mirror. And here's what it looks like with the mirror, and like I mentioned, this method can be easily replicated on a larger mirror to bring it more in line with the size of the original. And then here it is in a side-by-side comparison next to the original, and I think it came in pretty close, or at least close enough for a savings in excess of $1,000. For the last DIY, I'm going to make a fun little palapa style mirror using a Dollar Tree mirror, wreath, and hula hoop skirt. This is the adult one, and also a couple of paint sticks. First, I'm going to just tape off the mirror with some masking tape because I am going to be painting it. And then I'm going to add one of the, now these are the smaller paint sticks, paint stirrer sticks. I'm going to add one vertically. I'm going to add with first some of that multi-purpose glue and then add some hot glue to hold it in place. And then do the same horizontally with another paint stick. And then again, just adding some glue there to the bottom of the ring as well as the top of the paint stick, and then reinforcing with some hot glue. Next, I'm going to take some of that Tite Bond glue and again just put some strips there on that horizontal paint stick and also add some hot glue as well. And then just center my mirror right on top. Then I took the entire combination and painted it with some of this satin almond spray paint, or alternately, I could have used some of this cashew paint from Waverly. Next, I took the hula skirt and I added some glue to the top and then just pressed the 2 sides together because I wanted to seal off the top of the skirt. And then once the 2 sides are glued together, it should look like that. And then what I wanted to do was just cut the skirt in half lengthwise. So I laid it out flat and then just kind of folded it in half to find where that midpoint would be. And then just cut the skirt there. Now, since the skirt does end up being a little bit short of what I need it to be up at the top, I did have to go back with some of those cut pieces and add to the length there, kind of widthwise, of the skirt. So what I'm doing is just adding, tying on some of the strands to that end of the rope. And then once my paint was dry, I just went back and removed the masking tape from the mirror and then added some of the Tite Bond glue there along the inside perimeter of the mirror. And now I just went back with the hula hoop skirt and attached it to the inside rim of the mirror. And then there you can see where that little extra bit was needed in order to get all the way around the inside rim. Once the glue was set, I flipped the skirt back up so that I could add some more glue to the wreath form underneath. And then I took the cuttings from when I had cut the skirt in half and attached those to the glue on the wreath form. This serves to fill in the spaces and make the mirror surround nice and full. Once I had those attached, I went back with some more glue on top of the cuttings and then just flipped the top of the skirt back in place, attaching it to the glue to hold it down. And then I just continued on to the next section, filling in again underneath and then flipping it back over and attaching it in place. And then once all the sections were complete, I just went back and cut off the excess. And what I did was I took about 1.5 inches from that bottom rung of the wreath form and just cut from there all the way around the wreath. And then here's the finished project, a great decorative mirror for any beach or boho decor. And now here's a flip of sorts using the mirror from an old medicine cabinet. After we did the bathroom renovation, I had this old medicine cabinet, which I knew that I could eventually do something with. I disassembled the door from the cabinet by removing the screws, then separated the mirror from the wood frame. So I came up with a plan to wrap the frame in pieces cut from this straw mat instead. I measured the pieces needed and then outlined those measurements in glue on the straw mat. Like before with the placemats, I had to do this in order to get clean cuts and stop the mat from fraying. Once the glue was dry, I could cut out the pieces. Then simply wrap around the frame and glue in place. I only measured and wrapped the straight sides, leaving the angled corners open. To cover these, I took some tiles left over from the bathroom project and glued those to the corners. I attached a rope to the back and then hung it from that bottom shelf. This added the perfect relaxed vibe for my porch redo project. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this DIY high-end mirror dupe video inspired by high-end retailers. If you liked the video, remember to give a big thumbs up and please let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you next time.